baby on the way.
On the bustling streets of America, beneath the shadows of skyscrapers and amidst the noise of a nation moving forward, a chilling silence is spreading. You may have seen it in viral videos or glimpsed it from a car window. People, frozen in place, bent over in unnatural postures, seemingly lost to the world. A scene so strange, so unsettling, that the internet gave it a name, the zombie craze. But this is not a scene from a horror movie. There are no monsters here. This is a real-life tragedy, a chemical nightmare unfolding in plain sight on the sidewalks of our city. What you are seeing is the devastating impact of a new, terrifying drug cocktail that is overwhelming the most vulnerable among us. So, what is this phenomenon? And really, why has it taken root so deeply within America's homeless communities? And what dark truth does its spread reveal about the systems we trust to protect us? Stay with us. Today, Bear City 24 pulls back the curtain on a story that has never been fully told. The reality is more heartbreaking and more urgent than you can imagine.
Now what she's saying, I want those four walls. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to take care of it all. That's what makes me feel like.
The zombie epidemic, a public health nightmare. Let's begin by dismantling the myth. The term zombie is a cruel and misleading label for a human being in the throes of a medical emergency. What we are actually witnessing is a public health catastrophe, driven by a deadly combination of drugs. The primary ingredient is fentanyl, a synthetic opioid that is 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. But what makes this crisis unprecedented is its new partner, xylazine. Xylazine, known on the street as trank or trank dope, is not an opioid. It's a powerful sedative and muscle relaxant developed for veterinary use on large animals. Like horses and cattle, it was never intended for human consumption. According to a nationwide alert from the the Drug Enforcement Administration, this combination is now being seized in nearly every state in the country. The reason this mixture is so catastrophic is twofold. First, because xylazine is a non-opioid sedative. It does not respond to naloxone, also known as Narcan, the life-saving medication that can reverse an opioid overdose. This means that first responders, who have been trained to use Narcan to bring people back from the brink of death, are now facing situations where their primary tool is rendered partially, or sometimes fully, ineffective. It's like trying to fight a fire with a broken hose. Second, the physical effects of trank are horrifying. It plunges users into a prolonged state of unconsciousness, a chemical stupor that can last for hours, leaving them vulnerable on the streets. It dangerously slows a person's breathing and heart rate, but perhaps its most gruesome effect is on the body itself. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, or repeated use of xylazine causes severe, necrotic skin ulcers. These are raw, flesh-eating wounds that can develop far from the injection site, becoming infected and, if left untreated, often lead to amputation. The bent-over, zombie-like posture is the body's reaction to this extreme sedation, a system shutting down in real time. Think about that for a moment. Before you ever heard the term trank, what was your first reaction to seeing images of this crisis? It's easy to look away, to feel fear or disgust, but when we understand the science behind the suffering, we see it not as a moral failing, but as a desperate symptom of a much larger illness. These aren't monsters, they are people being poisoned. Number 2, America's invisible nation, the scale of the crisis. To understand why this chemical plague is hitting the homeless population the hardest, we first need to grasp the sheer scale of the crisis they already face. They are, in many ways, America's invisible nation, living a parallel existence on the margins of society. According to the most recent point-in-time report from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HD, on a single night, more than 653,000 people were experiencing homelessness in the United States. Let me repeat that number, 653,000. That is the highest number ever recorded since the count began. It's enough people to fill every seat in every NFL football stadium in the country, twice over, but even that staggering number doesn't tell the whole story. Within that group, A growing percentage are classified as unsheltered. These are the individuals living without any basic refuge on sidewalks, in parks, under bridges, or in makeshift tent encampments. They have no door to lock at night, no roof to shield them from the elements, and no safe place to rest. They are completely exposed. This constant state of exposure creates a desperate need for an escape. Imagine the physical pain of sleeping on concrete every night, the gnawing ache of hunger, the chill that seeps into your bones during winter. Now add the psychological trauma, the constant fear, the shame, the profound loneliness of being ignored by thousands of people who walk past you every day. In this environment of relentless suffering, a drug that promises to numb everything, to offer a few hours of oblivion, can feel less like a choice and more like a necessity for survival. Trank dope is cheap, it's widely available, and its sedative effects are so powerful they can temporarily erase a world of pain. What happens to a person's dreams when their only goal is to make it through the next 24 hours? Do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up? A firefighter? A teacher? An artist? The people living on our streets had those dreams, too. But a relentless cycle of hardship has pushed them to a place where the dream is simply to not feel the pain anymore. This is the fertile ground where the seeds of the trank epidemic have taken root and grown into a forest of despair. The war on the vulnerable, how policies make things worse. You might think that facing such a dire humanitarian crisis, our society would respond with compassion and a surge of resources. But in many cities across America, the opposite is happening. Instead of providing help, we are increasingly responding with punishment. A quiet war is being waged on the most vulnerable, not with weapons, but with laws and policies that criminalize the very act of being homeless. According to the National Coalition for the Homeless, there has been a sharp increase in citywide ordinances that make it illegal to camp in public, to sleep in vehicles, or even to sit or lie down on a public sidewalk. These policies are often enforced through sweeps, where law enforcement and sanitation crews descend on homeless encampments. Often with little to no warning, tents are torn down. Personal belongings like identification, medication, or irreplaceable family photos are thrown into garbage trucks, and the people who live there are simply told to move along. But where are they supposed to move along to? The uncomfortable truth is that these sweeps rarely, if ever, come with an offer of adequate, permanent housing. Shelters are often full, have strict rules that many cannot meet, or are perceived as unsafe. So, these policies don't solve homelessness. They simply hide it. They push people out of sight, deeper into the shadows, into wooded areas or abandoned buildings, further away from the very outreach workers, social services, and medical professionals who could offer them a lifeline. This approach creates a brutal and vicious cycle. Being forcibly displaced is a traumatic event that increases stress and anxiety. This, in turn, can worsen mental health conditions and deepen a person's reliance on substances to cope. By pushing them into hidden, isolated areas, we make them easier targets for drug dealers and predators. It disconnects them from any fragile support system they may have built. In short, the very policies designed to clean up our cities are actively making the drug crisis worse. They are taking a population already drowning and pushing their heads further underwater. Have you ever seen an encampment being cleared in your city and wondered where those people actually went? The answer, tragically, is that they haven't gone anywhere. They have just become less visible, more desperate, and even harder to reach. We are fighting a public health crisis with handcuffs, and the results are catastrophic. Perfect storm, the root causes. First, let's talk about the most fundamental human need after air, water. And food? Shelter? America is facing a catastrophic housing crisis. According to the Out of Reach report by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition, there is not a single state, county, or metropolitan area in the entire United States where a person working full-time at the federal minimum wage can afford a modest two-bedroom apartment. Not one. The math simply doesn't work. When the cost of keeping a roof over your head outpaces what you can earn, millions of hardworking people are left perpetually standing on a financial cliff. What do you think happens when a family faces an unexpected medical bill or a sudden job loss? For a growing number of Americans, it means losing everything. It's a domino effect that starts with a missed rent payment and ends on the street. The second element of this storm is the quiet collapse of our mental health care system. For decades, as reported by the National Institute of Mental Health, or N, The country has moved away from providing long-term psychiatric care, closing public hospitals without adequately funding community-based alternatives. This has left countless individuals with severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or severe PTSD. With nowhere to turn, they end up on the streets, where their conditions worsen, untreated. Imagine for a moment living with a mind that feels like a constant war zone. What would you do if the only thing that could silence the chaos, even for a few hours, was a cheap and powerful drug sold on a street corner? For many, this isn't a recreational choice. It's a desperate attempt to self-medicate in a system that has utterly failed them. Finally, the third force in this storm is profound economic instability. Wages for many have stagnated for years, failing to keep pace with the soaring costs of everything from groceries to healthcare. The social safety nets that were designed to catch people before they fall have been frayed to the breaking point. We have created a society where millions of our neighbors are just one medical emergency, one layoff, or one personal crisis away from total destitution. This isn't a fringe issue, it's the fragile reality for a huge portion of our population. When these three forces, unaffordable housing, a broken mental health system, and economic precarity collide, the result is the streets we see today. It's a perfect storm that leaves people exposed, exhausted, and desperately searching for any port in the storm. Hope in the darkness, models that work. Amidst this bleak landscape, it can feel like the problem is too big, too complex to ever solve, but that simply isn't true. Across the country, there are bright spots of hope cities and organizations that are proving that a different way is possible. They are embracing innovative, evidence-based solutions that treat people with dignity and deliver remarkable results. The most powerful of these is a philosophy called housing first. It's a beautifully simple, yet revolutionary idea. For decades, the old approach to homelessness was a staircase model. You had to get sober, find a job, and solve your personal issues before you were considered ready for housing. Housing first flips that script entirely. It operates on the belief that housing is not a reward for recovery, but the essential foundation for it, as championed by the National Alliance to End Homelessness. This model provides people experiencing homelessness with a permanent home immediately, without preconditions. Once they have the stability and safety of a roof over their head, they are then offered a full suite of voluntary support services from addiction treatment and mental health care to job training. Think about it. How can you focus on sobriety when you don't know where you'll sleep tonight? How can you attend therapy when your primary focus is finding your next meal? A home provides the solid ground upon which a new life can be built. And this isn't just a hopeful theory, it works. Look at Houston, Texas. Through its collaborative program called The Way Home, the city has embraced the housing first model and, over the last decade, has reduced its homeless population by more than 60%. That is a life-changing success story. Alongside housing first, another crucial approach is harm reduction. This can be a controversial topic, but its goal is simple and compassionate, us to keep people alive. Harm reduction organizations meet people where they are. Without judgment, they provide life-saving tools like clean needles to prevent the spread of diseases like and hepatitis, fentanyl testing strips so users can know if their drugs are laced with a deadly substance, and the overdose reversal drug, naloxone. This isn't about enabling drug use. It's about enabling survival. It is a declaration that every human life is worth saving, and that every person deserves the chance to live long enough to find their path to recovery. The choice we face, our role in the solution. So, after seeing the depth of the crisis and the promise of the solutions, the final question lands with us. What is our role in all of this? It's easy to feel powerless, but the truth is, real change is the sum of countless individual choices. We face a choice not just as a country, but as individuals. First, and perhaps most importantly, we can choose to change our perspective. The next time you see someone who is homeless or someone who appears to be struggling with addiction, try to look past the surface. Make a conscious choice to replace judgment with curiosity. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with you?" ask yourself, "I wonder what happened to you." Remember the person you see as someone's child. someone's sibling. Perhaps someone's parent. They have a story, a history, and dreams they once held dear. This shift from judgment to empathy is the first step toward building a more compassionate community. Second, we can choose to support the helpers. In every city and town, there are organizations on the front lines doing the hard, heroic work every single day. These are the shelters, the food banks, the street outreach teams, and the harm reduction clinics. A small donation, the cost of a few cups of coffee, can provide a warm meal, a pair of clean socks, or a life-saving dose of naloxone. If you have the time, volunteering can be even more powerful. The simple act of looking someone in the eye and sharing a conversation can restore a sense of dignity that has been stripped away by years of being invisible. Third, we must choose to raise our voices. Individual kindness is essential, but it cannot fix a broken system. We need to advocate for systemic change. Contact your local representatives, your city council members, your mayor, your state legislators. Ask them what they are doing to support Housing First initiatives. Demand more funding for mental health services and addiction treatment centers. Support zoning changes that allow for the creation of more affordable housing. Your voice is a powerful tool for turning the tide from punishment to support. From criminalization to care, throughout this journey, we've uncovered a difficult truth. The zombie craze is not a random plague or a moral failing. It is a cry of pain from a nation within our nation. It is the visible symptom of our deepest systemic failures of a society where housing has become a luxury, healthcare a privilege, and where human beings are too often forgotten. But the story does not have to end here. We've seen that change is not just possible. It's already happening in the places brave enough to choose compassion over contempt. The solutions are not a mystery. They are here. The question is no longer what can be done. The real question is, what will we choose to do? Thank you for joining us here at Bear City 24. If this story has moved you, if it has opened your eyes, we ask you to help us spread this vital message. Please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can ensure these voices are finally heard and that no one is left behind in the shadows.